Thank you very much for everything. We did not put the name here because it's going to build up to the story, the name for it. So we'll bring it in there. We're working on this. My name is Angel Ruiz Angulo. I'm a physical oceanographer, a professor at the University of Iceland, and I'm representing Iceland in this case. We also had another member that was not feeling very good today, but she helped a lot yesterday. So Agnes, we're here with us. And here,
my name is Henrik Meling. I'm from Norway. I have a background within automation engineering, software development, and product development. So what we have looked into is how can we repurpose the already existing infrastructure from the oil and gas industry. So the interesting thing here is that it's well established. There have been done huge investments, both in the platform itself, in the infrastructure in cables, in piping, and in mooring. So some facts about the oil and gas industry in Norway. There is about 90 fixed installations per now. And the plan is to decommission these over we don't know how many years, but we're going to start that. And the only plan that is currently in place is that we're going to decommission, and the metal from the constructions is going to be recycled. But we have all of these installations in place now. And also there's about 200,000 working in this industry, so it's a huge industry. I guess everyone knows that. On the right-hand side, you can also see where it's located in Norway. So it's all the coast. Most of it is on the southwest. So when you look at the infrastructure that have already been established in the oil and gas industry, what they're doing now in Norway is that they electrify all of the installations, or what they want to do. So they basically take electricity from shore in cables on the seabed and out to the oil installations. So this is what we want to repurpose when we start to decommission, because a lot of these installations are up and running now. So E-honeyhub. So what we want to make is basically like a offshore energy ecosystem as a composable architecture. And everything is working around the infrastructure and the energy hub. It's what we call it. So what we want to do is we want to remove the oil and gas extraction part of the platform itself, and we want to add in a sustainable energy source. For example, wind, wave, tide, solar. We don't really care about what kind of energy source it is, as long as it's sustainable. And to make this fly in the beginning, business-wise, we just want to focus on supplying the grid on shore in Norway. And we can distribute this energy down to Europe, because we have all of these cables that we're not that happy about, but we can use them at least. And that if this flies, you can actually start this now, and then you have your hub established. And then you can add on with new business opportunities. So as long as you have the energy available, you can add on with new businesses. For example, a data center. And this is a data center that could be submerged in the water. You can use the heat that it produces. You can use that in an aquaculture system to farm, for example, more exotic species that need a higher temperature. Or a lot of other use cases.
Sorry, we're not going to have too much time. I cannot remove the science from me, and I think one of the things the industry is really, we need to pay on that is that we need ocean observations. There's no observations there will be no outcome. And another thing that is really fun now is that we have carbon dioxide removal techniques that can be implemented on all these. And it's an organic kind of platform that will be able to hold these type of processes that are actually currently ongoing and hold those things. End of that, we have checked out.
You can finish the sentence.
Finish your sentence.
We have checked the SDGs, at least 10 out of the 17, and the purpose is that we could also get people to go back to work again from those 200,000. Anyways,
Bravo, as I could say. So now, floor is yours. Maybe we could start from this end of the table and move towards the left.
Yeah, I would just like to hear more about sort of the feasibility in terms of the economics behind this. Like, who would pay for this, and how would you? Who would pay for this, and
Can you repeat the question so they can hear?
Who would pay for to establish the whole infrastructure or the concept? Well, that's the cool thing here, is that we actually have a lot in place now. So by repurposing the oil platforms, so in oil platform today, you have a lot of different processes. You have a gas turbine that produces electricity locally for the installation. So you got all of the electrical infrastructure on the platform. So what you do is that you remove the gas turbine itself, then you connect it to, for example, an offshore wind farm to put energy into the same system and reverse that out into the grid. And of course, you have to do a lot of investments, but I think a lot of the investments are already done, and I think governments would do these investments in offshore wind farms because of the energy shortage that we have in Europe, basically.
why isn't anybody doing this? Do you have this infrastructure, like you said, or is somebody doing this?
I will say that there's decommissioning is not yet in place, but the energy will be required. So no one is doing it because we have not been there to the stage for that. Right?
Thank you. Another question?
Yeah, that was great. Thanks. A lovely concept, which I really liked, and I love the way you explained it with your beehive. And I was wondering, added on to that, because you've got lots of industries and aquaculture as well, and I see your doesn't look like a floating like whatever that is. What about tourism? Do you think that would fit into the model?
Of course.
I will not rule out in terms of.
Because I love the concept of doing, like, having an observation center, but I just think, yeah, besides creating employment or redeploying previous employees, there must be some social, you're touching on so many SDGs. So besides job creation, education.
Of course, tourism could be a thing. I don't think it will be the same people that go to Disneyland that will come here, but
It'd be like the Svalbard.
yeah, people are different. So yeah, absolutely.
I think this is a great concept. I really do believe that we need to start thinking about this now. And I think this sounds very feasible because of the connections already exist. And even just putting a wind turbine in some of these offshore and pumping it back into the grid seems like a doable thing because we know those technologies, we know they work.
Yep.
So the challenge is always, so where do you start? Who do you talk to first? Right? So have you guys given some thought on that?
I would guess that the first so energy industry has to be the first to talk to, and that's the energy demand goes on. As energy demand wants to be cleaner, for example, we have a perfect example here in Iceland, the car fix. You are not only being neutral, but you can become negative. And as you become negative, you generate my CO2 credits. So you can have CO2 credits. And you can do it also with carbon dioxide removal offshore. and same as other platforms can join. And in this sense, like many other projects that might be coming from this hackathon, they can just attach together to. But the basics, what we really went on the simple part, is if you do not have the energy required for something that is already running, then the rest will not be able to sort of hold on it.
Cool. Thank you. Next question.
Yeah, I have a question about the degradation and integrity of the infrastructure itself. If it's already known to be eventually decommissioned, have there been upgrades to that infrastructure, or are you going to be inheriting like a dilapidated platform?
No, the reason for the decommission is mainly because when an oil field is, when it doesn't produce as much as we would like to,
Yeah.
they basically just decommission it.
And they
Because-
stop investing in the infrastructure of the platform itself when that happens. So just wondering.
So at least in my previous life, we have funded some of these offshore things. They are actually floatable, so they actually move them from one place to another. So
Yeah.
they're not like abandoned. They're just moved to another location.
I think
Seems like something that it can be done now. I think it's something you guys should pursue. Definitely.
Well, I think it could definitely come into place. Definitely, like maintenance of an infrastructure will always be part of the budget that you have. It's not that will be out there forever. It's something definitely we should, if it's put together in a budget, it has to be added. And yeah, like if we inherit like a lemon.
My only negative is that I think a prototype would have been better. I don't think paper is a good idea to make these things.
It was such a short time.
It's recycled.
And it was such a short time, and we didn't have the chance to go to a Fab Lab to like a really good prototype. So it
I think Lego would have been great.
Yes, possibly.
So we have the time. And Kathleen, is there a burning question you'd like to ask?
What would the most obvious objections be and come from? What would be the obvious conflict of interest?
I think yes. So we actually with some of the mentors we spoke about what the possible conflict that could be, and we find no conflicts between the infrastructure and generating the energy, which is level 1, and level 2 is who attached to that, and if this is reproducible in other platforms, and some of these hubs want to come into it, and they conflict with each other, then they could find another hub for it. So we could find in level 1 no conflicts, but in the other levels, yes, definitely it could be nature. That naturally there could be conflicts, but they could, if this is reproducible for different places, it could go to a different.
I also wonder if the energy companies themselves, knowing that the oil fields are being decommissioned, if they're gonna like leverage that opportunity to maybe go after new, greener.
They're already doing that
That
now.
would be
Yeah. Lots
different.
of them are doing that now. So
She's telling us about that.
It was a great wrapping up. Thank you so much.
But just one more. So this is why we started in paper, because we started drawing. I've been
It's the first prototype. And then we go move on and go to the next and to the next. Thank you so much.